This episode has been brought to you by CompleteNutra.com, Whole Family Nutrition.
Chronic pain people are getting relief from vitamin D3 and K2. That's an area that, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't even know. There weren't those studies, but now we're seeing it. So that's any kind of chronic pain, whether it's a minimal, say a 20% pain, or whether it's a major acute, I can't walk right now. Chronic pain is resolved partly with vitamin D3 and K2. So that's great to know. All kinds of hormonal and metabolic disorders. Since we know vitamin D3 is a pre-hormone, we know that it's going to interface with everything hormonal in the body. So metabolic hormones, sexual reproductive hormones. There have been some great trials showing increased sexual reproduction, whether it's infertility or whether it's, a little bit of a lack of performance. Those things can be enhanced by D3 and K2 also. And of course, it's essential if you're pregnant and nursing. It's essential because you want to make sure that your baby is developing all the right anatomy and neurological stuff. And interestingly enough, thyroid disorders. So this is an interesting thing with thyroid. I find it is the second most common female disorder out of 100% of my female clients. It is the second most common. It is rampant and it's so undiagnosed because our medical model only looks at one little aspect of the blood, which may or may not indicate how well the thyroid's working. It's called a TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone. May or may not actually indicate how well the thyroid's performing. But if it's in the normal range, they say, okay, we're good, we're done. So what ends up happening is tons of women, mainly Western civilized women, of course, are having these slightly low thyroids, not enough to bump that test into an abnormal range, but they're not functioning properly. And then that can feed right into the osteoporosis, which is the other big area that we know that vitamin D and K2 are essential. So I think about all these women out there that are wandering around 10, 20, 30 pounds overweight, fast tracking into osteoporosis. They have no idea. It's a silent disease. You don't feel your bones losing their density at all. So, and it's just this nasty combination. So we can't say that vitamin D3 K2 would fix or solve a thyroid problem, but we could say it's essential to your thyroid health. And if your mom and dad had thyroid, or anyone in your family tree had thyroid, if you're female, you're above the age of 12, you're probably going to need to supplement with D3 and K2. The latest research on osteoporosis, and this one's a shocker, says that it begins around age 12.
Wow.
Yeah, so the moms out there watching, obviously you need to be on it, but if you've got adolescent girls, you've got to get them on it. And usually it's a very small, easy to swallow capsule. I'm so grateful.
It is.
Not hard to get into at all. There's also some studies, Dave, very interesting about neurological health and even mental disorders being vitamin D3, K2 deficient or being helped resolved or improved using vitamin D3 and K2. So when you think about this one thing, because we now know exactly what it is, it's a pre-hormone, now it's starting to make sense how many places in the body it's going to go and tell these hormones how to be and what to do and how much calcium here and how much there. So it's kind of an exciting, it seems sort of dull when you think about it. Vitamin D, who cares? But actually, when you really study it like I have, it's like, wow, this is kind of like an unsung hero for the hormone systems. And hormones are used for everything. Blood sugar is an insulin hormone, right? So I feel like the people that want to get well are going to understand that they've got to kind of take themselves to a core level of existence where they're going to make it a point to get outside. They're going to make it a point to move their body. They're going to make it a point to eat a lot of green leafies and dark green vegetables. They're going to supplement because they understand that the way the toxins are, the way that the environmental hazards are, the way stress is, that we have to. This is not I could if I want to. This is more like, if you don't, you'll likely be sorry. And falling down when you have osteoporosis at the age of 75 and then ending up in the hospital with a fractured hip, how many of those stories do we hear where they never really are well again? Maybe they go home, but they're never well and then they die. And it didn't have to be that way if vitamin D3 and K2 was in their daily diet. So I have this lazy Susan in my kitchen. It's got all my supplements.
Awesome.
So after I finish eating, I take my plate to the kitchen. I get my glass of water. I go right over here and I start to, okay, there's my D3 and K2. So I think if you can get into a routine where you're really forcing the basics, that's what ends up being the most valuable. The most fundamental actions will be the most valuable actions.
Definitely.
So I don't feel like most people need to understand how the nutrients work. I think they need to know, why do they need to take it? And vitamin D3 and K2 is really one of those that you're not going to make enough on your own by yourself, sun gazing and sunbathing, to take care of all the needs. You're just not going to. And so I feel like eons ago, when humans first evolved on the planet, I think the diet was different enough. There were probably bigger sources of vitamin D in the diet. Right now in the supplement industry, how we get vitamin D3 is actually a byproduct of the sheep wool industry. It's on the outside of the skin of the sheep, and it's kind of right where the wool starts coming out. That is actually a huge vitamin D3 secretion.
Wow,
so
that's interesting.
Really, it's very interesting. So it's literally not a vegan product, but no animal was killed. You're not eating animal insides. You're eating an excretion that comes out of its skin.
Wow.
That helps kind of, it's a layer of, like, not fat, but obviously this kind of pre-hormonal substance that generates the wool's health.
Wow.
So, and I didn't know that until about 20 years ago.
Wow, that's interesting. Really interesting.
Very, very interesting. I always wonder, David, who the heck thinks this stuff up? Like, who was that person that said, what is this sticky substance? And let's go run this under a microscope and let's do some stuff. I just always wonder how those minds work. So again, part of the population I worry about are not only the non-supplementers, but the hardcore vegans who won't supplement with D3 because it's not a vegan source of D3. I know that they're coming out with vegan sources of D3. Personally, my clinical experience with this for decades now is, go to the real thing, go to the original form, supplement daily with it, and see if you don't have less of the colds, the flus, because that's the other big area that we didn't know about 20 years ago that we now can see is just how it helps generate immune responses. And if that's not important, I don't know what is. So I think that one of the big things that this show is helping do, that the times we're in are also fostering, is this awareness, like, oh, I can't just be in this doing nothing. I can't just expect to have great immune system when people are dropping like flies from flus and COVIDs. I need to be proactive. I need to do something to start building my immune system. I know that's been a very important area for you over the last 6 months. I know when I met you in Mexico just a few short months ago, you're like, okay, I'm doing my thing, and let's build me up and sort me out. And it's definitely working.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good.
Thank you for joining us for the Healthy and Family Show. Visit our website at healthyandfamily.com. That's healthyandfamily.com to see what all the other doctors, experts, and real moms have to say about keeping your whole family healthy. This episode has been brought to you by CompleteNutro.com, Whole Family Nutrition, and aired on the Goldstone Network. People, Planet, Future.